Hello, everybody. It's another week, and in many ways, I'm pleased to say it's been unremarkable. Things are going very well in the homes, all things considered. Staffing's good, no infections. One advance has been that the home testing has started. It's a bit chaotic with couriers arriving when they're not meant to be arriving, and goodness knows what. But I guess it's all to be expected. I think the problem is everything's always overpromised and then slightly underdelivered against. But anyway, it'll work its way through, and the intent is there, which is great. So the homes testing is underway. Public Health England and the issues around PPE and the unlocking lockdown, people visiting homes. Just on the PPE side, we've seen drafts, everything's been cleared. We understand it's now all sitting with the Department of Health, which is frustrating because it's now 6.5 weeks since this was all discussed. And it's government, unfortunately. But anyway, these things are determined by government and not locally. And it has gone through this process. That will be very helpful to us. When it finally gets signed off, assuming it does finally get signed off. The one that's actually much more concern to you guys and myself also with my own daughter is parental visits and individuals going home. Okay, I do just want to make the point. I am the messenger in this and not the principal. The principal who makes those decisions is the law, which is the government. So please don't shoot the messenger. We have to act according to the law, and it's very clear that home visits can't happen. There is an exception where that can happen. We have had one such case. The bar to cross for that exception is massively high, and where essentially what it boils down to is that an individual is suffering specifically mental health issues in this instance because they could not go home. This is not something that it would be nice for them to go home or whatever. We've had to cross massive hoops to go through, gone through massive hoops rather, to get to there. We've had 2 best interest meetings and so on, and we've made all the parties have actually had to sign agreement that they effectively, commissioners and everybody, that they agree that the specific circumstances fit that. So at least we have, in one instance, found a way where the circumstances are very serious. I don't want to go into a lot of details about it, but we have actually made that happen. But we've had to do it in an incredibly complex legal structure, and it is absolutely only an exception, and by exception could that actually happen. That will not be relevant, unfortunately, to perhaps anybody else within our service, certainly at this moment in time. But it does start to create a process which we can then start to suggest to Public Health England and so on that maybe they can follow all of that.
We are looking at the ways that we can start to facilitate people seeing their family members, because obviously it's important to everybody. But what we have to do is stay within the framework of the Mental Capacity Act and best interest, because we have to consider if an individual has the capacity to understand social distancing, because we have to stay within the current government guidelines, which says that you can meet people in the park, in the garden, but you've got to keep that 2-metre rule. So we have to look, does the person have the capacity to understand that 2-metre rule, and do they have the adaptability to process that? So if they met with their loved one and they can't hug them, they can't hold their hand, they can't sit next to them, is that visit going to be right for that individual? Is it going to cause them more anxiety that they can't do that? And we have to make that decision in conjunction with families and work together on that to come to a best interest decision. In terms of going home, the government guidance is still very clear. You cannot stay overnight at another person's household. So that still isn't part of the normal government guidance, unless there are really exceptional circumstances, and that is subject to a best interest decision. It's quite a high bar for us to meet to show that somebody does meet that exceptional criteria which enables those to go and stay at home. When they come back, there would need to be a period of isolation, because we have to protect everybody within the household, within the service, and a number of individuals are very vulnerable to some of the COVID-19 symptoms, etc. So we need to make sure that they are safe as a household as well. So that's why we have to implement the period of isolation when somebody comes back. But as I say, it's a very high bar. We have explored that process, and we have got a flow chart to take us through, which we're working with Care England. And Care England have distributed the flow chart that we designed to all of their members to help those in this decision-making process and unlocking lockdown. And also we have submitted it to Public Health England to try and get that embraced within the guidance that they're due to publish. What we will do is, whenever families raise this with us, we're looking at every case on an individual basis, and we will work with you to see what can be facilitated and what can't. But we have to take an individual approach. It has to be tailored to what is right for that person. We keep reviewing what's out there. As guidance changes, we will move with it. We absolutely want to facilitate visits as soon as we possibly can, within the law, within the guidance, and when it's safe to do so.
We're on your side on this, it's as simple as that, but it is what it is. And, I've spoken to many parents, actually. I've been in other parental forums as well, and everybody is in the same boat on this. And really, I think, the only thing to do is where possible to put pressure, on MPs or anybody like that to actually really deal with this, because I can't see why something couldn't be done. There is a problem, and that is that regardless of what is agreed, when an individual goes back, when they do have a home visit or whatever, then in that set of circumstances, they will have to go into isolation. And in this particular individual's case, which are exceptional circumstances, when they finally return, they are actually in a single person service, which did also make it more possible to go through the minefield, but they will actually have to effectively go into isolation when they do return. So this is not an easy process there. It becomes more complex anyway in a situation like that, where if somebody is sharing a lot of communal space with other individuals, and so it would mean that their restrictions in that set of circumstances would be very high. But I do want to stress, this is not something that can be rolled out at this moment in time, other than absolutely by exception. So I'm sorry if that's not very sort of good news, but in a way, I think it's all moving towards some sort of conclusion. I believe that's just a personal statement, where I see now that sort of in the normal world, so to speak, households, a single person in the household can share a household with another person on a nominated basis. And it seems that there may be areas where one can start to leverage off that, but it does need a mindset. And the problem is that learning disabilities are being lumped in with elder care, and we've all seen the statistics with elder care in terms of sort of the fatalities in care homes. I don't think that it's not the same thing as LD homes in the same way at all. And we are desperately trying to make that point as much as we can, and others in the sectors are trying to make that point. So until there can be some sort of decoupling from that, if we can achieve that, it's going to be very difficult. But look, we're on to the case. On that basis, I'd like to wish you all a great weekend and a really good next week, and I hope that perhaps these things will have moved on, but we are on the case. Thank you very much.